Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Becca and today I have my Believathon 2 TBR. So if you guys are unfamiliar with what the Believathon is, it is a 2-week-long readathon for this current round that is hosted by the love of my life, Gavin Hetherington, and it centres around reading middle grade and children's literature. Now, I do not read a whole ton of middle grade, but I do like to read a little bit occasionally, so I do like to participate in Believathon, not only to support Gavin, but also because it gives me a set time to dive into children's literature. So for this round of Believathon, I do have the Believathon 2 compendium. This round is called Journey to the Stronghold. The object of the readathon is to get from your starting point, which is Poacher's Pocket Inn, all the way to the top of the map, which is the bookkeeper's Stronghold. So to do that, you have to read 5 books. There are different rules and different ways that you can do this. I will, of course, link Gavin's channel and also his video explaining everything in my description box if you would like to check this out. I do have the compendium, which has the map and all of the prompts as well as some recommendations in it. This is available to purchase on Amazon. However, you do not need to have this bind up. If you head over to Gavin's video, you will find everything contained in here in his description box in a Google Doc file. So getting into my TBR, the starting point for the quest is the Poacher's Pocket Inn, and the prompt for that is to read the first book in a series. For this challenge, I will be reading Malamander by Thomas Taylor. This book is also on my Bookopoly TBR for the challenge to read a book picked by a friend, and Gavin did pick this book for me. He did also gift me this book as well, so thank you so much, Gav. Gavin sent this to me last year because it was the current Waterstones book of the month and he really enjoyed it. Because he has specifically selected me to read it as well, I do think that I will enjoy it because he does know the kind of middle grade that I like. The plot of this I'm a little bit unsure about because the synopsis is actually all over the place and there's a whole ton of elements introduced, but I believe it centers around a hotel called the Grand Nautilus Hotel, and there is a legend in this world of the Malamander, and apparently the Malamander may have returned. No idea what the Malamander is. With it being called a Malamander, it reminds me of a salamander, so I'm imagining some big lizard thing, but I cannot be sure. Regardless, this will be the very first book that I read for Believathon. My second stop on my quest is going to be Baba Yaga's house. Now, I was originally going to go to the Yellow Brick Road because I love The Wizard of Oz, but I decided that I would go to Baba Yaga's house because the prompt for this is to read a book that features a familial relationship, and I really want to read Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. This was gifted to me a while ago by the lovely Bev, so thank you so much, Bev, for sending this my way. When Believathon rolls around, I do try to read quite a bit of classic children's literature. I don't read a whole ton of classics, I don't read a whole ton of children's books, but I do like them both combined. Like, I am really attracted to classic children's literature for some reason. I think it may also have something to do with the fact that I'm really into Disney, as you may be able to tell, and the majority of Disney movies, especially the older ones, were either adapted from children's books or fairy tales. So Peter Pan, as I'm sure you all know, is the story of the boy who never grew up, and we follow the Darling family in here. I can't remember who all of the Darlings are. Is it Wendy, John and Michael? And they are taken to Neverland by Peter Pan and introduced to this world full of children that refuse to grow up. I've heard great things about this one. Actually, there are quite a few booktubers who really love this story, and I'm hoping that I will be able to say the same. After visiting Baba Yaga's house, I'm going to be heading over to the 100 Acre Wood, and the prompt for that is to read a book with yellow on the cover, and for that I'm going to be reading at least part of Oz the Complete Collection Volume 1 by L. Frank Baum. This is a bind up of the first 3 books in the Oz series. It contains The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, The Marvelous Land of Oz, and Ozma of Oz. So during Believathon, I'm going to aim to at least read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, which is the first book in the series, and I'm assuming that that contains the full story that the movie The Wizard of Oz is based on. Cannot say for sure because I've never read these books before, but based on the millions of Oz adaptations and the hundreds of books that have been inspired by Oz, that after the original tale of Dorothy going to the Land of Oz, the storyline does spin off into many different story arcs, especially as I believe there are at least 6 of the these bind up volumes available in these absolutely stunning editions. And as you can see, we do have some yellow on the cover in multiple parts on here. So the story of the Wizard of Oz, as I know it, I'm not sure about the book, but we follow a young girl called Dorothy who is swept up in a tornado and deposited in the magical land of Oz, where she wants absolutely nothing more to be able to go home. So the Munchkins send her on a quest to go and see the wizard at the Emerald City, and to do that she must follow the yellow brick road. She meets some companions along the way and it's all great stuff. The Wizard of Oz is one of my absolute favorite movies. I watch it at least once a year, and I have for as long as I can remember. It is a movie that my mum introduced me to, so I think reading this book is going to make me feel close to her, which is something I always enjoy when I'm reading children's literature that I associate with my mother. So I'm hoping that I really love this book. If I do absolutely adore The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, I may continue through this entire bind up. However, it depends how well I'm doing with the readathon at the point that I get to this. After the 100 Acre Wood, I 100% had to go to the Brolly Rail because that is a location from one of my favorite children's books, Nevermore. And the prompt for this is to read a book with a form of transportation on the cover. And for this one, I'm going to be reading A Pinch of Magic by Michelle Harrison. This one has very recently been gifted to me by Linda for my birthday, so thank you so much, Linda, for this. I added this book to my wish list and to my TBR based on a whole ton of my friends absolutely loving this story, but the main person who got me to add this was Jade from Jade Ray Reads, because I was having a discussion with her and I said that I'm looking for more books that are as good as Nevermore, and Jade said that A Pinch of Magic is absolutely 100% as good as Nevermore. So with that in mind, I think using A Pinch of Magic for the Brolly Rail prompt is a perfect fit. And I did scour this cover for ages to find the transportation, but as you can see, we have a little boat here. So I don't know a whole ton about this, as I am 100% completely trusting Jade's recommendation on this one. But in the synopsis, it mentions that we follow three sisters who are trapped by a magic curse, and there are three magical objects with the power to change their fate. I have heard absolutely amazing things about this book and the sequel as well, so I do think I'm going to enjoy it, and I very much hope I'm going to. After that, I only have one more place to visit, and that is my final destination, the Bookkeeper's Stronghold. The prompt for that one is to read the next book in a series, so it can be any book in a series apart from the first one. And for that one, I am hoping to read Mary Poppins Comes Back by P.L. Travers. This is the second book in the Mary Poppins series. Like with The Wizard of Oz, this is a story that I really associate with my mum. During the first round of Believathon in November last year, I read the first book in this series and I absolutely loved it, and I think that Disney did a really great job of adapting the chapters of that book that they used for the movie. I'm expecting this one to be a little bit different because I don't think that any of the scenes that are included in the movie will be in this book, as I believe that the majority of the movie is included in the first book. But Mary Poppins, as once again I'm sure you're aware because this is another children's classic, follows a magical, wonderful nanny called Mary Poppins who sweeps into the lives of Elizabeth and Michael Banks. Now the book is a little bit different. There are more children than just Elizabeth and Michael, but pretty much Mary Poppins flies in on an easterly wind and completely changes the lives of these children, and then as soon as the wind changes, she disappears again. These books as well are actually a collection of short stories. In this one we have 10 short stories, and each one details an adventure that Mary Poppins goes on with the children. So these are all 5 of the books I'm aiming to read for Believathon. I'm pretty sure I can 100% do this over a 2-week period, as a couple of these are quite short. My only worry is that as well as reading these, I will be reading other books that are just on my standard Bookopoly TBR alongside these, as I do have quite a few books that I need to get through this month, but I will be trying to prioritize these 5 as much as I possibly can, and I definitely hope that I can get through them, because the way I've been feeling recently, I feel like I just need a little bit of children's literature magic to brighten up my life. But that is about it for my Believathon TBR. So as I mentioned earlier, the link to Gavin's announcement video will be in my description box, so if you would like to participate in Believathon, you can find out all the information you need to know there. Aside from that, please let me know in the comments if you are participating, and also if you can recommend me any children's books that are as good as Nevermore, because I would really like to know. But aside from that, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to. If you head into my description box, you'll find links to my Goodreads, Instagram, Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link link to my Bookish body butter and candle website, the Instagram for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.